Let me move on quickly to galamsey. Today I really want to give time that I have about 40 minutes that I can dedicate to galamsey. So stop raising your hands. I'm not going to give you any other time on this matter. Well, so the president on galamsey, because it's been topical for the past 2 months, the president was expected to speak on the matter, and he did. He delivered and described the war on galamsey as being largely successful. There are those who have disagreed with the president's conclusion on the war against galamsey, but he went on to outline components of what his government has done in the war against galamsey that has led him to this conclusion. He spoke about the training that has been done for small-scale miners. He spoke about the work of the IMSEM. He spoke about the new licensing regime that has been put in place, and also extended a hand, one could say, to the media coalition against galamsey, where he said we should not be daunted by the challenges, but he's willing to see this through. There are those who are saying, well, we don't believe you now because you did not see it through the first time. But after that, Umaru Sanda, another journalist, caught up with the minister who is running this, Professor, I must say, Kwabena Frimpong Boateng. Let's listen to that interview and then we'll come in studio.
We have done very well, and if we look at the evidence, we've done much better than most people will recognize, to the extent that other African countries are coming to learn from our experience. So we've done very well. I mean, look at where we started from. Now we've come to a point where the community mining has been accepted by Ghanaians, and about 25,000 people are doing their work there. The mining with impunity is no longer there. People hired to do that. People who were dying in the pits, death has reduced by about 90%, and this is very commendable. And also, if we look at the fact that it's no longer attractive to be here, we've done a very good job.
Prof, you have received a lot of flack in recent time about your involvement with respect to the fight in the galamsey fight specifically. Names have been mentioned. They said your son, they said even you yourself, you're directly involved. What is your response to this?
It is not true. I mean, look at me. I have been around for a very long time. I came back to Ghana from Germany at the age of 39 to set up the National Cardiac Tracing Center. The building there was constructed without a Citi contribution from the government. Now I've trained people. I reformed the Ghana Record Society, funded the Ghana Art Foundation to help. Everything that I've done in this world is for Ghanaians. I'm not doing anything for myself. Look at me. I've not taken bribe before. I've not extorted money from anybody before. I've not done anything wrong before. And it saddens my heart that people can associate me with illegality. This is wrong.
Prof, is your son involved in
He is not.
What is he involved in with respect to mining?
He is not involved in anything, and the world will get to know very soon.
There are calls for you to resign. Will you resign?
For what purpose?
They say you are failed and you are neck deep in it, allegedly. Will you resign?
No, I've told you. I mean, you are asking me about what we've done so far, and I've given you a run out. Do you think that with the assessment I should resign?
Prof, what percentage of the fight would you have say you've won in galamsey?
I think I just said it a while ago.
Percentage specifically?
I think I would say 70%.
70%. You have failed by 30% then.
If that's your assessment, that is.
Where are the excavators, sir?
Every excavator that has been stolen will be found.
Why were they stolen? You were sleeping on the job, perhaps?
I was not sleeping on the job.
You have soldiers to guard excavators, yet they went missing. How did that happen?
Pardon me?
You have soldiers as part of the Operation Vanguard protecting these equipment. How did they disappear overnight?
No, they did not disappear overnight. I mean, you will get a facts pretty soon. I don't want to overstep what the security people are doing, the investigators. So let us be patient. You'll get the facts pretty soon.
How many are missing?
Please, you'll get the facts very soon. As I said, they are being investigated.
We should have these figures, shouldn't we, if we know how many we have seized?
You will get them pretty soon. Please, don't harass me. You'll get the facts soon.
Prof, if you to say that you have won about 70% of the fight against galamsey?
You look, we will talk about galamsey at the appropriate time. Let's talk about...
But you have just said that you've won about 70%.
No, listen to me. You called me because you want me to comment on the State of the Nation address delivered by the President. Why don't you stay there? When you exhaust it, then we can have another time to talk about...
The state of the water bodies of the country is pretty much a state of the country. So Professor Godfred Akoto Boafo, the Minister for Environment, who is chairman of the IMCIM, the Interministerial Task Force on Illegal Mining, has just walked out of journalists who were asking questions in relation to the fight against galamsey. He says he has done 70% success in the fight against galamsey, but clearly there are questions that have to be answered, and these questions are what we are expecting to get from the professor, who is the chairman of the committee that has been set up by the president.
So that was the grilling that the chair of the IMCIM and Minister for Environment, Science and Technology, Professor Godfred Akoto Boafo, was put through after the President's State of the Nation address. And the sense of urgency and the push the journalists attached to this matter should tell you that this is very, very important. And he said in good time, Suhini, we will get the information that we are looking for. And he sounded quite disturbed by the fact that people would associate him with illegality. He made us quite a strong defense of his reputation, his background, and the fact that he's never taken a bribe. Before he spoke in defense of his son, he was asked, is he involved in any kind of mining? He said, why would he be? Were you satisfied with the responses he gave?
Well, I'm sure that if the journalists were satisfied with the responses he gave, they wouldn't have probed further, leading to the display of anger that we just saw.
I don't think it was anger. He just walked away. He wasn't angry.
Anyway, you can choose to describe it the way you see it. I can also describe it the way I see it. But you see, I'll start on the note of maybe a question to you. I mean, if you had a watchman at home, you live with the watchman, and whilst here doing the show, you are very confident that your home is safe under his care, only for you to return home to notice that your flat screen is gone, and maybe you have a dog in the house, it's also gone, and you decide to report to the police. Tomorrow, Sunday, will you still allow the watchman to be on duty when you are leaving?
Well, I guess the audience can answer that.
Just be sincere.
I don't answer questions.
You just have to retool him and position him well.
You see, one of the indicators of good governance, especially in relation to the fight against corruption, is for a leader to be able to initiate investigations into allegations. But more importantly, if for nothing at all, to be able to ask people who are affected by the allegation to stand aside until investigations are complete. It's an indispensable tool when assessing good governance. So when you have a president who has put his presidency on the line for a cause, constitute a body to ensure that the cause succeeds, comes to Parliament to admit some failures in the cause, as he indicated, some, not flat screens, not dog, that are little compared to excavators. He said some, a number of excavators are missing. Without asking any of the people he put in charge to step aside whilst he investigates the matter.
But the man who was put in charge of that particular part of the war against galamsey, he's going through certain legal processes, right? He was arrested.
I've told you about the good governance principle. It is not just the initiation of investigations. It's also, because you see, that's why they say justice must be seen to be done. It's not just about the justice being done. So the must be seen to be done is demonstrable through, for example, the president asking people to step aside so that people are assured that there's no cover-up, there's no interference with the investigation. But if you have a president who is noted for clearing his people of any wrongdoing, even before reports come up, this is what you are going to get. And for me, this whole fight is so disappointing to the extent that this is one government and president who has received unprecedented level of support from civil society organizations and the media especially, as far as this fight against galamsey is concerned. You dedicated precious airtime, sent your reporters to very dangerous places, all in support of this campaign, perhaps because you believed that the president meant to really, stem out this, illegality. Our first disappointment, and that of the disappointment of the civil society organizations, especially the media coalition, was when Aisha Wang was deported without prosecution. And you did not mince words as a coalition when you spoke out about your disappointment. One would have thought that the president would have changed his ways. Then came the Anas Amriyar Anas expose on Charles Bisu in his office, the president's office, receiving monies that are alleged to be bribes to encourage the illegality. Again, the president doesn't ask him to step aside.
It was investigated.
The president has a role to play beyond reporting to the appropriate bodies to investigate. He has a role to play. He should not act like Simpapenyin, or how do they say it in Chi? He has nothing to do. Oh, it's police, it's CID. No, he has a role to play. And if he does not ask these people to step aside, I think it amounts to negligence of duty.
But he was asked to step aside. And then, later when the investigation found him...
Charles Bisu is still at post. In fact, remember...
During the investigation, he was asked to step aside. He stepped aside for almost 3 months.
Well, so... I will grant you, because I don't want to litigate this further so that we'll waste time on it. But I know when he was in London, remember with the government delegation, questions were asked about a man who is supposed to be engulfed in such a thing with a government delegation. But I don't want to negate that. But I'm saying that Aisha Wong happened. The senior minister defended it. The senior minister also shares an office with the president. The president has never discounted the reasons the senior minister gave. He's still a high level appointee of the president. Then you had the Minister for Local Government, Haji Alima, meet with district chief executives and indicate that a report available to her shows that some of the DCEs are involved in this fight. Till we speak, no DCE has been sanctioned. No one has been, removed because perhaps his actions or her actions, aided this illegality. But worse is that excavators are seized, and instead of being kept in the custody of the police, they are kept with these district chief executives. That, according to the minister who supervises them, some of them are engaged in it. And then express shock and surprise when we are told the excavators are missing.
Sweeney, wrap up.
Now, beyond, all of it, you also have the video of Ewusi, who comes to tell us that the chairman...
The vice president, the vice chair of the Central... former. He was suspended.
Well, I'm told that he was brought back. Yes, I was told that he was brought back. Ewusi, who was in charge of this, fight in another, way.
He was charged with relocating the excavators from across the country.
He is accused of being responsible for the missing excavators. And to prove his innocence, he smartly engages the minister in a video conversation that he leaks to show that
allegedly, we don't know whether he leaked it.
But this particular issue of missing excavators is all a scheme to enrich the party. Party here, Sika.
But was it about missing excavators? Did you listen to the video?
Oh yes, it was about missing.
It's not true.
It was about missing. It was about maybe you are right. Maybe you are right. It's not about missing excavators. It's about galamsey. Sweeney, the whole galamsey.
Sweeney, you're so good at spinning conspiracy.
How am I spinning?
Please, he has just a minute left. Let him
Please, so you see, you have the video.
Half a minute.
You have the video.
I think he's a classic politician.
It is not. You see,
take
beyond the politics.
Time.
Let's put what this country deserves. I know, beyond the politics. I'm not complaining. I'm saying beyond the politics. Let's put, in front of us what this country deserves in this fight. And the conspiracies that you see around this fight that we all thought deserved our support, which we gave our support to. The Interministerial Committee I revealed in Parliament when I made a statement on Tuesday has so far received about 300 million Ghana cedis as a, just to fight this galamsey. 300 million Ghana cedis. Quarterly releases of over 33 million Ghana cedis.
Disbanded.
What do we have to show? Increased turbidity in our water bodies, increased destruction of our environment. And like I indicated, I think by now, I was hoping this address by the president will answer some of the questions that I raised to save his presidency. Unfortunately, I think his presidency is beyond salvage.
On the issue of galamsey, the president says largely successful, but we go on the ground every day, and things don't look very successful on the ground at all.
Galamsey, I said somewhere that what was wrong yesterday can be right today.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to progress on that basis.
Please do.
We must all fight galamsey. And I must also encourage the media coalition, just like the president did, not to give up. Because if the fight against galamsey is all involving. And we all know Dr. Frimpong Boafo, or Professor Frimpong Boafo. Unfortunately, I will urge him to up his game in fighting this galamsey. I will want to urge him and beg him to up his game. It's so important. Okay? Because he's a gentleman. We all know what he's made of. Very few people are talented in that field. But unfortunately, today he's in a different field. And for that matter, we need to give him all the support. Okay, I have listened to the video, and we all saw the conversation, how the whole man tried pushing him to talk about a lot of things. But me listening to the conversation never suggested that he was involved in galamsey. Yes, the party matter came up about the concession. I heard it. And I know, you know, that when we talk about a concession, it means it's a legal thing. And party raising money for the party and all those things. I heard it. I won't deny that I did not hear anything like that. But that will not discourage the president. That wouldn't discourage me. But I asked myself that this is not the first time we're forming interministerial committee to fight galamsey. This is not the first time. Yeah, okay? It's true. And I will want to urge those who are not politicians like us, okay, like the Manis and all these other people. What was their story? How many excavators did they seize and handed over when they were living in power? How many gold did they seize and handed over to us when they were living in power?
Well, but shouldn't we move beyond that conversation?
That's what I'm saying. That you see. So if you listen to the description, which water level was
no, for me, I don't even want to entertain
go there.
Exactly that conversation.
No, you know something. If you sit down here and you spin, okay, and you speak as if for you in Jagable, you have no problem. Then we are tempted to also ask some of these questions. We will never, and I think no MPP member, if you wish MPP well, we must succeed in fighting galamsey. Yes, because before a president will put his presidency on the job, that look, even if it means I should lose my elections, but succeed in fighting galamsey, I will do it. That tells you the situation that he inherited. All was not well. If all was well in fighting galamsey, he wouldn't make that pronouncement. Tells you that it is a fight and we must all fight it head on. Like I said, president should not try to cover up anybody.
Well, he did make that statement.
We wish him well in this game. And those who are closer to the president, and there are allegations, they are involved, they are not involved. If truly it ends up that, look, this man is involved, president should not hesitate in dealing with such a person, because for you to put your presidency on the job tells you how dear the commitment to fight galamsey. We've made some successes. People can decide to say, oh, no, or this. Please, let's look at the rates at which those days young men and women were dying in the pits. Today, what is the report? If you come to Parliament, because we want to see galamsey as a high-risk job, at least the sanction has been moved to 25 years if you are caught doing galamsey. So it's not just about math alone. The local government minister told us their bit to organize your young men and women who unfortunately are out of job now and giving them some kind of apprenticeship and some other jobs to do. We can't say that is not true because it is real. The community mining, the community mining that the president talked about, at least people were trained to use the skills that they've learned from the university, those who came to train them, so that at least their activities in mining the small scale don't destroy our water bodies and then our forests. At least there are positive steps. Yes, in fighting this galamsey, we all know how galamsey is. There are people who misbehave. People will definitely misbehave because we are talking about gold. People are making money. So we are going to fight it. We are not going to renege. We are not going to give up and say, okay, NDC is talking about this, the water bodies. I think that if you want to look at it objectively, we are doing better than they have done.
I don't know about the doing better, because as a journalist, when I look at the stories that are coming to Honorable Nyendam, we've had in the past 2 months, and then in case you haven't heard this, water treatment plants in the western region, eastern region, Ashanti region all closed down. We did not have that 2 years ago. We've had in the past from January 2nd to January 28th, 17 hectares of a protected national forest was decimated. Nobody saw it. And this is at the height of the war against galamsey. If the fight had improved so much, how does somebody take 20 days to go through 17 hectares of a protected forest reserve and nobody sees it?
Well, just like you gave some indications, some figures, I haven't heard them, and I'm not disputing it. Okay,
all these made headlines. These are not news stories.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not disputing
when you say how many 17
hectares?
Yes. They were what? Dug up, plowed, what?
Yes.
In 20 days.
In 20 days.
It's not possible.
Well, I'm telling you.
No, that story.
This comes from the Bekwai Forestry Division. This is an official report.
What, hectares?
Yes, he said it started on the January 2nd.
It's not.
But it depends
the minister,
on the equipment they were using.
Exactly. The minister went there.
Supersonic
diggers. The minister went there. Hold on.
I'm surprised you're saying this. Because 17 hectares is really nothing. It's not big.
That's 4 football pitches.
Yeah, it's not big.
That's 4 football pitches.
And to think that there were drones that were purchased. None of them could see any of these.
Let me go to Franklin anyway.
17 hectares.
Let me go to Franklin. Thank you, Honorable.
You dig 17 hectares, then you sift the soil.
I'm going to Franklin.
Then you sift the soil. Oh, my friend.
No,
some of these stories.
No, but 17 hectares is really nothing.
This is a story that had the minister responsible on site. It's not like it came from the minister was there.
I think
as the engineer, not the minister.
Well, first of all, I mean, let's also not. It's true that this has been happening, right? In fact, in 2013, there were arrests of close to 4,000 foreigners who were deported. I don't think any of them were charged. About 150 vehicles, equipment, guns, and the rest were seized at the time as well. And it was the interministerial committee that supervised this. Fast forward, the interministerial committee again is the one that is at the behest of this enterprise. And you are seeing these deplorable results. It tells you one thing. The Interministerial Committee has failed. We actually need it to be disbanded.
Well, from what last I heard, the decision has been made.
Well, it has to. And you see, the way we do things in this town, again, the lack of coherence and probably the illogical policy making usually aids some of these things. Look, mining, whether legal or illegal, is having an effect on the environment. It is exactly the processes involved in not keeping the environment clean that we are worried about. We've talked about the so-called illegal mining. We've said they should actually be given the opportunity to mine, because the gold belongs to all of us, really. Yeah. The question you should be asking is, how come 1,000 Chongfang, is it Chongfang?
Yeah, Chongfang.
Chongfang machines could be important in this country.
And nobody knows about it.
And nobody knows about it. You'd expect that the Minerals Commission, the Ports Authority, and Ghana Standards Board should be the only ones actually certifying this importation of this equipment. And the Minerals Commission must have decentralized agencies throughout the country to ensure that whatever machines have been brought into the country are acting according to rules. Maybe with the GSA also helping. The Interministerial Committee was just an avenue to bring a lot more flies I'm being very graphic here, to bring a lot more flies to the party. And the party here, obviously, I won't mention. But clearly speaking, what it means is that you were actually given opportunity for massive rent seeking, which is essentially what had happened.
This is your analysis of what's ongoing.
Yeah, but what was the point, really? I mean, if the IMC seems to have failed in the past, and it's now graphically really failed, you ask yourself, why don't you go back to basics? How are we doing our mining regulations properly in this town? So 1,000 Chongfang machines came into this country, and nobody bothered how they got into the country. What was the Ministerial Committee doing? Probably it was not even within their purview to do that. There are legitimate institutions that should be doing this type of work. And I still submit that the Minerals Commission, together with the port authorities and the Ghana Standards Authority, are party to this exercise. So the moment you introduce, if something is supposed to be illegal and the state is the one actually protecting it, and the state has all these agencies protecting it, you have all manner of persons who see the opportunity. And so how could the 17-hectare, land be under guard? But at the same time, within 21 days, it was completely razed to the ground. While it was completely, where we bought drones.
You see, Godfred, the thing is,
Sydney. So I beg you.
Let me say
No, I know.
I'll hand back. I'll hand back to you in a minute.
Yeah.
There is gold in the ground in this country. Plenty of it. Okay? We haven't even started getting to the
proper
core,
reserve.
The core of it. There's a lot of gold. People want to mine the gold for money. You are doing all that we are doing now with all the laws and the regulations and the rules and whatnots, and we are not succeeding. The water beds are being destroyed, and our rivers and our waters are being polluted simply because of the need for people to want to make money. The least we can do, because there is nothing wrong with trying to make money through mining. The difficulty is restoring the land after you've done your extraction to a point where you can actually use the land for good purposes. What is so difficult, what is so complicated about sitting down and crafting a law that can be implemented? That can be implemented. Because what we have now, they can't implement it. So what is so complicated and difficult about it that we can't do this? And it will solve the problem once and for all. unless and until we sit down and start thinking through what needs to be done, we are not going to succeed. So all this stuff we are doing and talking and blaming this and blaming that, and we are just waffling and wasting our time.
So you think for this to end, it has to go back to Honorable Nyendam and Honorable Suini in Parliament to deal with?
Yes. They should sit up. They should sit up and make more noise about it. And get down to doing something credible.
Well, I agree with Sydney. I think the problem though is this: when the ban was placed, and Sydney is calling it probably an illegitimate ban. When it was placed, the number of persons who were doing illegal mining actually dropped. It is true that the interventions in terms of livelihoods. Alternative livelihoods. We've seen some of them. And some of us personally congratulated the president and said, well, we have seen those changes, and I think they were useful. What we are dealing with right now is that something that was said to be illegal has been now taken over by state entities and state actors, and are actually dealing and benefiting from the process. That is what must be cured. And I was amazed when I listened to the president's speech that nothing, absolutely nothing was referenced in that regard. I thought he was going to say that he was going to actually disband the IMC and then look for persons who have done this stuff and get them punished. I was amazed. In fact, I wondered who wrote that part of the speech, because it painted a very glossy picture.
I saw your post.
I was worried. I saw that I was worried. I was actually laughing. I said, but who wrote that part of the speech? So, Sydney, what has happened is that not that people were not probably law-abiding. In this case, it was that the very persons who were supposed to curb this illegality were giving full state support, but I'd rather turn around and benefiting from the process.
All right.
How on earth would we have bought how many drones? 200 drones?
200 drones at $15,000 each.
That's $30 million. $3 million.
Yeah. These are the bought industrials.
And none of these drones were working.
One ambulance for $133,000.
Okay, let's end the program here. A big thank you to you for watching. And a big thank you to gentlemen. We've ended. We've ended. The Honorable Matthew Nyendam, Member of Parliament for Pandai and Deputy Majority Chief Whip, Sydney Case Lieford, Honorable Alasan Suini, Member of Parliament for Tamale North. Lawyer Yaopong was with us earlier in the day. My name is Godfred Akoto Boafo. I hope you enjoyed this episode of The Big Issue. Have a good weekend.